Golden Spiral Media presents The Blacklist Exposed.
The only thing lower than my spirits during a summer with no Blacklist are some more shirts. Welcome to The Blacklist Exposed. I am Special Agent Rory.
And I'm Special Agent Bill. And if you don't have anything nice to say, come sit by me. Thanks for joining our Season 2 finale fan feedback show, recorded May 22nd, 2015. Show notes and other intel for this episode of The Blacklist Exposed can be found at goldenspiralmedia.com/theblacklist.
In all seriousness, we just wanted to thank Troy and Aaron for all the work and fun they did this season. So Bill and I made this tribute.
It's about to get all stupid up in here!
I'm not wearing any pants. Not at all.
Pants on the ground, pants on the ground.
I just touched Aaron under the table if you didn't see that.
That was really uncomfortable.
You can't touch this.
I'm collecting signatures for a get well card for Mr. Cooper.
Get well, bitch. We've got some partying to do.
Too much? I just thought I wanted to make him laugh.
Hey, who wants to have some fun?
Ladies and gentlemen.
Troy has this theory, if you've never listened before, that Red is, in fact, Liz's mom.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination.
I am Agent Troy Heinrich.
The sportos, motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, dickheads, they all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
And I am Agent Aaron Peterson. Troy, I want to thank you personally for editing me every week because I screw up a lot.
Wrestler.
Oh, God, man. I'm sorry.
Don't look so glum, Kenneth. You just spent 10 minutes being ridden hard by Agent Navabi. I'd die for 5.
I've been really trying,
One thing I noticed about Samar, she wears extremely low-cut shirts in the field. Like, really low-cut. Like, she was going to a party afterward. No comment?
I don't want a piece. I want the whole thing.
Golden Spiral Media presents The Blacklist Exposed.
Love that you used Alliance, just because we're Alias fans, instead of the clandestine group.
Love it. Love it.
Well, this will be the first time, and not the last time, I'm going to say Alias in this episode.
We can't wait to make more of these next season. Now let's get on with the show. The Season 2 finale fan feedback-a-palooza. Here are your hosts, Troy and Aaron.
Thanks so much, Bill and Rory. Man, that was super awesome.
Bravo.
Bravo.
I didn't know what was going to go on. Troy's just like, shut up and listen. I'm like, you shut up and listen. I'm trying to do the Blacklist podcast, and I want to introduce myself. He's like, you don't need to introduce yourself. I'm like, what? Nobody's going to know who I am. Apparently, I'm an idiot. That's what I got out of that.
There you go.
Very, very cool. Thanks. Was it Rory and Bill?
Rory
nice
and
job.
Bill. Yeah, that's
nice job.
We put out that, what do you call it, the Clamor Initiative, the Clamor Contest.
You and your clamor, well, it brought something wonderful into the world.
It
so
absolutely did.
I hope nobody like started listening and what the hell is this? And hung up or stopped listening or whatever.
Who wants to have some fun?
Oh, so good. Nice job. Nice job.
Yes. So we'll get to see what you guys have in store for next season. And if you can do something as awesome as Bill and Rory, then you get to introduce the fan feedback show for the winter finale. We'll have to wait and see.
Oh, can't wait. Can't wait.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, I'm Troy.
And I'm Aaron.
Now you're happy because you got to introduce yourself. I
do feel a little better. I'm not going to lie. And I like this episode because we get to be a little looser. We're not tied to one episode. We actually have a lot of different things we can touch on. I don't have to worry about Troy's Nazi time watch issues. And, you got to be exactly 1 hour and 10 minutes, no longer. So we can just enjoy the show. That's my impression of you, by the way.
All right. Well, let's get on with the business, shall we?
I'm ready.
Well, we asked you guys after the fan party last week for the finale, what do you guys want to see happen in Season 3? And Agent Peterson, I'm just curious, how crazy can we possibly get?
Well, let's start with Twitter. Shannon Wong, 121, said the reunion of Red and Dembe. Okay. S. Green B27 said more Dembe. Well, there's already 2 for Dembe. That's pretty cool. And here's what we got on Facebook. Dale said more pastry.
Jelly donuts for everybody.
I like it. Just don't kiss that creepy donut lady. Todd said more Red and Dembe shootouts with bad guys. There's 3 for Dembe, which I think we should remind people that he was promoted to a series regular for season 3. Yeah?
Yes, he was, indeed.
Okay. Well, you weren't saying anything. I'm like, well, you still here, Troy? You listening?
Nope, not at all.
Valerie said more Red, Liz, Dembe, and Mr. Kaplan as a team. Like the Reservoir Dogs or what?
Yeah, like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Oh, I like that. Candy said, I like the name Candy. Tom's still waiting for Liz on the sidelines. I would prefer that boat sank, but that's a personal opinion.
Torpedoed by the cabal.
How about a perfect storm? Can you run into George Clooney? That would be great. Wendy said Liz going underground, fully immersed in Red's world. Xavier said nudity, except for Ressler. Why? He looks like he's got a 6-pack. You know, you got to respect everyone, ladies and guys, man.
He went toe-to-toe with Tom. He's got to be buff enough to be able to do that.
Exactly. And you got to respect both sexes, you know. Unlike Game of Thrones, we want both parties to be happy. Because in Game of Thrones, they only want the dudes to be happy.
I think they're upset because of the fact that we got the striptease for the sniper guy earlier in the season.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Good call. Art said more Kaplan, less Ressler.
Yeah, and everybody's hating on Ressler tonight. What's up with that?
I think it was the storyline, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. I don't think it's the actor's fault. I don't think it's Diego's fault, but there was an issue with his character, I think, this season, and we'll get into it. Rebecca said more Red and Liz and no Tom and Jacob. I love you.
The Tom/Jacob. Because Tom's already dead. Tommy.
Well, he's still Tom Keene to a lot of people, and he's Jacob Phelps to other ones. But I love Rebecca for saying that. I don't know you, so don't show up at my house or anything, but I do love you. Patricia said, want more Lizington.
And I think she meant that as Lizington, like shipping them together.
Yeah, I know what she meant. That would creep me out. Like if one episode, let's say mid-season 3, they just start making out, I think I'd probably have a problem with the show at that point.
Yeah, I think that's how we interpret that head on the shoulder as they drive off into the sunset together.
No, I got more of a familial tie. So, I mean, if they start making out, I'd be like, whoa. When did this become Chinatown? I don't know what's going on here, but I'm not a fan of it. And Christina, nice, Troy, you son of a, wants to see fire and brimstone hurled on the cabal.
Yeah, it was really great seeing the Hellfire missiles light up the season at the start. So let's get some more of that. Giant explosions is always good.
And Brendan, for more blacklisters from Breaking Bad, like Gus and Walt, and maybe even a Boston Legal reunion with William Shatner. Well, that'd be interesting. I don't agree with Shatner because Shatner showing up on anything automatically makes it cheesy.
Totally.
Yeah, it's not. I see what you're doing, and I respect what you're doing. I just think him showing up, unfortunately, takes the seriousness and the respectability of the show down. It works on shows like Psych, where he popped up as his dad, as Sean's dad. But I think on a show like Blacklist, it would really affect the show.
Juliet's dad,
Sean's. Who cares?
He was a con artist either way.
Whatever. Yeah, he was pretending to be Sean's dad. I don't remember. I love that show, but that was really bad. See, I screw everything up, as you could tell from the beginning. Yeah.
Ray, the stories you tell are awesome.
Well, I love what you do, Liz. No, couldn't do it. Good
Back
stuff. To you.
Good stuff. Thanks so much, everybody, for answering all of our profiling questions this season. But we're not done yet. Remember, if you want to answer the profiling question of the week, you can respond on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Clamor, whatever floats your boat. The Blacklist GSM. That's the magic username. The Blacklist GSM. Get it tattooed on your neck even, right where the old one used to be. The Blacklist GSM, we are everywhere.
Right next to your swastika?
Exactly. Or over it. You could use the swastika part for the S in Blacklist.
By the way, it's gone, if you noticed.
I
don't know if you noticed. It's gone.
It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to have another profiling question of the week because this summer we will be back talking about Comic-Con and the comic book.
I'm hoping to go to the panel. I will be at Comic-Con, so I'm hoping there's a panel, and if there is, I will definitely be trying to make that.
Should have made the one last year. They gave everybody a fedora.
Did they?
Yeah, the whole
Get
room.
out of here.
It was awesome.
I was there last year. I didn't get it. I didn't go. I went to Resurrection for you.
Yep.
So, damn it.
Yes, maybe you shouldn't go to the panel this year because then the show will get canceled, just like Resurrection did.
I could be a bad mojo, bad voodoo.
Anyways, the profiling question for our episode later this summer, what stories do you want to see in the comic book series? Do you want to see more of Red's past? Do you want to see a continuation? Because we got some interesting theories about where the show might go for season 3 in the future. That's a tease.
Excellent.
Future tease.
I like it. Now, is that going to be canon for the series, or is that just like basically things that will not have anything to do with the show? So they're going to be separate entities.
I don't know if they're taking the Kirkman approach regarding Walking Dead as far as what's canon or not, but I know that the creators are working with Titan Comics. So it would be close to canon if it's not canon.
Well, I wonder about it because I would say probably 99% of the people that watch the show probably will never read that comic. Would you agree with that? 95%? I think it's a very small portion of the audience.
Yeah, I don't think you can use the comic book to further the television story. But it would be nice kind of like Lost did, where they had these mini anecdotal things that happened in the summertime that added to the universe of the show, but didn't inform the overall story arc of the show, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. No, it totally makes sense.
Like the one that I think of is the season 3 to season 4, they played the Find Flight 815 game, where you got to play this thing and like maneuver a submarine, and then you found the plane in the bottom of the ocean or something. And it came up in the show, but it wasn't part of the show. So I think maybe that's what the comic book's going to do. Just give us some past, but not drive the story forward.
It's kind of weird. It just doesn't feel like something that lends itself to comics, but I'm really curious on how that's going to turn out. Very curious.
It's going to look Matrix style or something. I don't know.
It's going to be anime. Red's walking around all Kill Bill style.
Well, let's get into the fan stuff and kind of wrap up season 2 here with a look at this week's episode, Case Profile.
Now, this week's episode, Case Profile, is a little different because we're not going to go into an episode. So we don't really have a plot. We had an entire season. There's a lot of ways we can do it, but because we want to do the fan feedback, that's really what we want this episode to be as we close out the season of the Blacklist Exposed. We want to focus more on what you guys think about what happened in the show. So we're going to kind of condense what we want to talk about to a smaller portion. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So instead of going through all the various storylines, which we have an episode of the Blacklist Exposed for every single episode, I would say definitely check those out if you want to go through each and every episode. We always have a season recap, so we will have a season recap right before the season comes out, where we go through the various storylines, threads that are still hanging, that sort of thing. But for you, Troy, what were the best and worst scenes or stories from this past season?
I go back to the first half of season 2. I was really engaged with the Berlin saga. I was shocked coming off of season 1 that we got to see Red and Berlin confront each other face to face so quickly in that thing. And then, of course, how it played out towards the end in episode 8 when he killed him. I was like, wow, they reunited him with his daughter and then killed him. And I really liked that, too, because there was this whole thing for all of us, which was is it Red's daughter? Is it Berlin's daughter? Is it Jennifer? Is it somebody else? And we got to go on that ride, and then here it ends up being Berlin's daughter, and boom, then he's dead.
Now, do you wish they would have held on to him a little bit longer?
Peter Stormare, it probably served the purpose for what he needed. Two things from the Berlin saga that I think are still kind of open questions are he was so concerned about the money that was at Monarch Douglas Bank and the shipment that he was moving for somebody else. Like he was working for somebody. So was he working for the Cabal? I guess is the question I have there. And then with with Berlin's daughter, she took money from Red to basically get a better life, move along, disappear. But then she took that from Red. So when is Red going to call in a favor from her?
Oh, he will. Yeah, definitely. But I don't know if we're actually going to see it on screen because I don't think the character herself registered or clicked with a lot of people. I mean, I think if you go ask a bunch of viewers like you guys that are listening, how many of you really remember her, what she looked like? You know, would you recognize her immediately on sight? I don't think she was really one of those characters where she really clicked with viewers. Do you agree, disagree?
I don't know. I kind of like the food truck.
Oh, I liked her, but honestly, if she popped up on the show, she'd be playing a different character, and I probably wouldn't remember right off the top of my head.
True, because she'd be in like witness protection or change your name or fake identity or something.
I'm just saying if they, Scooby-Dooed her and they just threw on a different mask or something, and they gave her a different character's name, but it's the same actress, I probably wouldn't remember her. She wasn't memorable to me, I guess.
Where have I Rory before?
Ruh-roh, Reggie. Yeah, so I didn't care much about the daughter storyline. I liked a few of the red herrings that the storyline came with, but I really like Peter Stormare. I think he's one of the creepiest actors in Hollywood, just in general. He's just a weird guy, and I loved having him as part of the show. So it was kind of sad when he had to go, but I mean, if the storyline served, it's storyline served.
So if we break up the season into, I can't do math now, into thirds.
There'd be thirds.
Yeah.
It's almost
the first third was good. The last third was GERD.
The last third was GERD.
The last third was good. The middle third is where I scratch my head. So I guess the question to you is, one of the other shows on our GSM network, the Person of Interest podcast, their show got cut to be 13 episodes. Would you like to see the Blacklist be a more condensed, maybe 16 and 8 and 8? Because that first half just seemed to zip by so cleanly. And then we kind of had that lull after the Super Bowl. And I wonder if 16 episodes is the sweet number for the Blacklist or not.
Funny you mention it. We were actually talking about that on the Hollywood Outsider last week, or most recent episode, I think. We were talking about the Blacklist specifically and how I'm a huge fan of that show, but there's definitely some filler episodes because you have so many throughout the season. And I just think, unless you're procedural, where, every episode is just one case, maybe you get a couple loose threads that dangle throughout the season, but a show like The Blacklist, which is heavily serialized, has a mythology, I do think truncated seasons are more beneficial to the storyline. I understand why networks don't want to do it, because it's a lot of money they're leaving on the table. So I don't expect to see it soon. But it's one of those things where if they did that, if they said, you know what, I think the show would be more functional because we can get tighter writing. We'd have more time to play with storylines. We'd have more things we could flesh out. I think it could benefit the show. You might get some fans getting angry because I want more, that's 9 less episodes. Yeah, but man, when the writing's tighter, it makes for a better show sometimes. So I think you wouldn't get so many of those lulls. You might not get so many people complaining about where Liz has her weak moments for a few episodes and that sort of thing. I'm okay with that if they ever chose to do that. I love the show no matter how they do it. But I do think those shorter seasons, there is a benefit there, yes.
So your options for shorter seasons are 10, 13, 16, or keep it 22. Why don't you let us know?
I like 16.
I like
Walking
16.
Dead. Yeah, Walking Dead does a great job with that. You have 8 and 8. So, that cuts it back enough to where it feels like you're getting almost like a network show, but it gives you enough room to tighten things up.
Now, would you be opposed to the Once Upon a Time model where they would go 11 episodes?
Never watched that show.
Yeah, so they go 11 episodes front and back with a very long gap, but it's continuous 11 episodes where it's almost like 9 episodes and a 2-hour movie.
That's tough, man. I mean, that's a long... If you go that long, unless you have a really big hook, like Walking Dead has a big hook, it's really hard to bring viewers back. You really run the risk of losing viewers when you do that.
Okay. Fair.
It's just my opinion. But I do think if you were to do it, like 2 mini seasons, yeah, that could work. 11 and 11. Not much different than 8 and 8, but it's still... 11 is going to be 22 episodes still, so you're going to have to make that work. But if it gives you more time to make stronger stories so you don't have quote-unquote filler episodes, then yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah, you could do kick out the last week of February till sometime in May, and then you go September right through Christmas, just before Christmas.
Yeah, and I'm sure we're boring the crap out of people. How about let's move on to the Fulcrum. What did you think of the Fulcrum?
I thought it was a cool twist. I remember this time last year, or when we started the season, because we weren't together, but we were talking about it as well. That the Fulcrum was potentially this MiG plane. Some people had some theories about it being a code name for a MiG, a Russian plane and stuff. So the fact that it actually did end up being exactly what it was, which was this list of names in a giant speak and spell, as you called it, very interesting twist. I'm curious to find out how many people in the Fulcrum that are on the list are part of the Cabal or associates that are related to the Cabal, but maybe aren't part of the organization that could be part of Red's network also, and maybe would help Red to take down the Cabal before they get exposed.
Now, do you think because the Fulcrum was used as blackmail didn't work because they still went after Liz, and then Red released that information to reporters, and it's going to be all over the internet. I'm sure some journalists' lives are in danger, whatever. How do you think they're going to use that for next season? Any theories?
I mean, I'd like to see it be used for next season, but I don't think it will be used for next season. I think that's the issue.
I think it totally will. Totally will.
You're going to see the Cabal maybe taking out people on that list to protect the Cabal. I guess it just depends on how many reporters start to flush out actual names.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Cabal will go after the reporters first because they protect your own. But I can see people on that list being scared and reaching out to somebody other than a Cabal member to maybe protect themselves, like Reddington, Liz, and Dembe.
I think my personal opinion, I think since Liz / Masha, everybody's got a different name on the show now. I think because Liz doesn't have the resources of the post office anymore at the current time, I think that information that was released will be how they access blacklisters. Does that make sense?
Okay.
I think that's the only, because otherwise I don't see how she could retain the information because she's not going to be part of that group anymore, or at least for the immediate future. I don't even know how you get it back unless the presidential pardon, because there's some information that implicates the president and he just lets her off. It's the only way I can see for her to get out of it because she killed Connolly in cold blood. Spoiler alert!
Well, it's actually a really interesting point that you make, because this is where I have
Isn't it always, Troy? Really? Isn't it always?
I have to eat crow after last week because I came up with this extraordinary theory. And no, it's not that theory. It's the theory about how the episode was titled Masha Rostova. Up until the credits rolled during the episode, it was titled Masha Rostova. Every press release said Masha Rostova. And so I did that whole thing about how maybe it's the Cabal's blacklist or maybe it's Liz's blacklist. It's going to change or whatever. And
how you feeling about that now?
Yeah, not so much.
Because at the last minute, what'd they do?
I lose 5 points for that one because I wasn't paying attention to the credits when they flashed across the screen. I was too busy tweeting.
Because it came across as Tom Connolly right as it came out. Man, that was a nice little pull on their part. I liked it.
So
Big fan.
I still have the question of, is it Tom Connolly as the blacklister, but the episode is still, quote-unquote, titled Masha Rostova? Or is it titled Tom Connolly? Because for 43 episodes, the title of the episode was The Blacklister. So was it a ruse to hide who it was, or is it the first time we've had it separately titled?
No, I think it was a ruse. It seemed very much a ruse because everybody knew who Masha Rostova was. Well, actually, it plays either way, honestly. It really does. If it's the post office, then Masha is obviously the blacklister because they got to bring her down. But Tom Connolly, they don't want to put on there because they don't want you to know that that's who they're going after. That's who's going to end up, ultimately, he's going to be taken off the blacklist.
Well, and then you looked at Bokenkamp's interview about it, and he said, in no uncertain terms, that basically we had it named Masha Rostova, but we had to change it because why would Red go after Masha? It didn't make sense. Red would be going after Tom Connolly, so that's why they changed it at the end. So in that case, he's saying that my theory is wrong and stupid. He's saying that it's still Red's blacklist at the end of the day.
Yes, he clarified that. He did say it's Red's blacklist. You know what else he said? Red is definitely not Liz's father. You know what Megan Boone said? She confirmed he's definitely not Liz's father. I think we, as a community, until we're proven otherwise, should probably let that idea go. Do you agree or not agree?
I absolutely 100% agree. There is no possible way, unless they are saying this as a complete lie, which I would think would break the trust in the fan base personally.
Well, it wouldn't happen. You wouldn't know until the very last episode. So, I mean.
But, I mean, when you come out and say something like that, which has been like the whole myth arc from day one, and then you would just blatantly lie about it to do the misdirection. I think there's other ways you could say it.
Let me remind you of a young man named Damon Lindelof who said they knew exactly how Lost was going to end.
I know. And that's why Tomorrowland's getting panned now, because he's the writer for it.
Big fibbers. There's fibbers in network television, is all I'm saying.
There's been enough times that they've said, though, he is not the father. So I am going on the record saying today, this point, no way in hell is he the father.
I don't believe he is at all. At 100% do not believe it. She shot her father. Her stepfather's dead. She got no daddies left. Now, he might be familiar. He may be an uncle, maybe something like that, but he's definitely not her dad.
Don't steal the thunder for later.
Sorry. It had to come up. So what did you think about Red's wife that is no longer part of the show?
I'm still not convinced Naomi is Red's wife, to be honest, and not because of my theory. I think that maybe she was married to somebody by the name of Reddington. I think this was a ruse. I think this was like a planned marriage to protect Jennifer for something. And because of that, they had to make it look like they were married. And that's why they're in witness protection, is for their protection, not from Red, but from somebody else. So I don't know if they were truly, quote unquote, married at the end of the day.
Do you think maybe sometimes we overthink this stuff?
Oh, absolutely.
Just because of the nature of the show. Because I seriously, I just took it at face value. At face value, they played like a formerly married couple. She did make some comments that you've changed your appearance. So I do think maybe there's been some plastic surgery to some degree, not to your craziness.
I forgot what the line actually was, and I'm sure somebody probably has this in the fan feedback section.
You look a little different, something along those lines.
Yeah, like I feel more like a sister or something, or cousin. She said a specific line that said, like, you feel more like not a husband.
Yeah, but even when they had private conversations, they alluded to formally being married. So I'm taking it at face value. I do believe
I'm not saying
married.
they didn't go to the courthouse and get some documents signed, but it wasn't really a quote-unquote marriage.
You're overthinking it.
Okay.
I just think you're overthinking it. Maybe, it is possible for Red to have lived and lost a lot. Poor guy. Well, the reason I brought her up was, it was Mary Louise Parker, right?
Correct.
Okay. And she's a really talented actress, and I really felt like they didn't do enough of that character. I thought that was going to be more prominent, and it ended up being not much.
Well, I thought for sure she was really going to be Liz's mom because of the fact that Liz stabbed Red in the neck with a pen, and then she's going around wielding chicken bones and stabbing people in the neck with chicken bones. That's how they kind of get it, like daughter, like mother kind of thing.
She still could be. She really still could be.
She could be.
And she seemed to know who Liz is, which means Red would have had to tell her, or she knew some other way. So there is that. I hope she comes back. I was a big fan of that character. I love that actress. I really felt like what they did with her in those 3, 4, 5 episodes. I don't even know what the number was, but it just really never felt like it came to fruition. Whatever they had planned, whatever they were hoping for, really just never clicked.
Well, and
that
was the big play too, was that she was coming on the show and that Paul Rubens was coming on the show, and we got Mr. Vargas for 2, 3 episodes tops.
Oh, he got Pee Wee, man. He's got more important things to do.
Yeah, but it was
going to be a 60-year-old Pee Wee.
It was like the draw.
Instead.
It was like, hey, these 2 people are joining the show, so you expect them to be on the show the whole season when they make that kind of announcement, and then they're like, oh, they're only here for 3 episodes. And you're like, wait, what?
They never have prominent. I mean, they have a lot of quality actors on the show, former TV actors, former stars, that sort of thing. They get a plethora of talent on the show, which I love. Ron Perlman was a highlight for me. I'm a big fan of Ron Perlman too. Okay, so where do you think she is now? Do you think she will come back? My opinion is I hope so, but I don't think so.
I don't think she comes back this season, but I think she comes back at some point.
Okay.
Or this coming season. Sorry, the season's over. Season 3.
Continuing on with Best and Worst. Red in action. That was a big one for me, seeing him actually engage in a few shootouts. Even though James Spader not quite as smooth as Dembe. He still can fire some shots off.
Oh, absolutely.
From his hospital bed, even. I mean, he's ready to go. Do you want to see more of Red in action next year?
Yeah, I think like we were saying, The Fugitive is season 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to see more gunplay. I want to see more stakeout, stealthy, not really CIA type, but like CIA type. More planned missions, I guess, would be what I was thinking of.
Something that I loved and also hated in the same episode was the Ron Perlman. Great villain, very formidable for Red. Just a really strong opponent for Red Reddington, I thought. He's just somebody you just don't screw with. He doesn't care about Red. He doesn't feel threatened by Red. Just loved having him on the show, even if it was short-lived. But on the same token, they have that episode, or they have the torpedo at the ship that goes, fades to black as the torpedo hits the ship. And they somehow survive. As much as I love this show, still for me, one of the dumbest things to ever happen in a series television show. Because I cannot believe it to save my life, no matter how much I suspend my disbelief.
Okay, so you're saying the torpedo blow up was your one spot. My spot was hitting somebody over the head with a shovel and killing them in the kitchen, and then hitting him in the head with a shovel running through the backyard and not dying at all and having a bruise or anything.
Oh, yeah, that was bad. That was a bad one, too. Bing! And why it was necessary.
I thought I thought putty dat.
What was the episode? I can't remember.
That was the Deer Hunter.
Yeah, the Deer Hunter, yeah. It felt like completely unnecessary, too. Why you gotta hit her in the head with a shovel? What was that? That wasn't needed. Just leave. Run. Some other things, I was not really worst stories, but something I would have liked more of. I would have liked more Dembe and Samar. Obviously, I mean, they're just characters that just I like, so I want more of them. Wrestler's Addiction, I thought was a really bad storyline, and it seemed like they realized that a few episodes in. Do you agree, or do you think they just?
Oh no, it was was beautifully played. Although I didn't like the way it was played, because then all of a sudden at the end of the season, you have Connolly sitting there. Yeah, and don't think we know about Wrestler's Oxy thing. We can get him kicked off right away. I was like, way to wrap that up.
Yeah,
just mention it because you forgot about it.
I don't think they forgot. I think they saw the fan feedback. That's the only thing I can imagine, is that they saw fan feedback on the addiction storyline and realized it wasn't working. So what they originally intended was for that to be an issue at the end, but they realized it wasn't working for the viewers, so they just swept it under the rug until the end. That's what it felt like. It's like, hey, we still could play that angle because it did happen. Let's just throw it in there, man, so that everybody sees what the big picture was.
Yeah, like the Kenyon family when he finds the codeine in the cabinet in the bottom of the church. It's like,
yeah,
ooh,
exactly. I
really want that, but I can't take it right now.
Oh, didn't like it. Liz's mid-season fumble, I thought was a little, I kind of got why viewers were frustrated. They were writing her a bit weak. I think, as I said, at that time, you have to take the whole season. You have to wait until it wraps up, because sometimes these things, they play out better than the way that they seem at the time. And it did. I think it ended strong.
And I think the issue there was that it was kind of that after Super Bowl lull. It was like Ruslan Denizov, it was the Deer Hunter, it was the Kenyon family. I mean, these episodes really didn't advance the story at all. We come out of the Super Bowl with this whole dream sequence and the fulcrum and the rabbit and, oh my gosh, her memories were screwed with. And then we're like, it's just a story of the week kind of thing.
Right.
Even though the Kenyon family did lead us to the actual speak and spell.
It did. AKA the fulcrum.
How you got the car buried underground, I still don't understand.
Any
why
more
it was
best
a presidential
or worst?
limo. That still confusing.
Right. Any more best and worst before we move on to wrap up the characters and then get on to the fan feedback?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Now we're going to touch on some of our characters, like we do every episode, kind of like where they are in terms of the season, now that the season is over, and what we kind of would like to see next season, I guess. Mr. Kaplan felt a little bit more prominent as the season went on. I mean, even at the very end, was there for really no reason other than just to show that she's part of the team, I guess.
Okay, so here's a crazy one for you.
Okay.
Because she has such great eyesight on those guns when she took out those agents when they came in.
Mm-hmm.
What if she was the sniper that shot Red just to get everything in motion?
They did not show who the sniper was. I do think that will come up again. Yeah, that's an interesting theory.
Man, does she have great eyesight?
I still think it's Tom Keene, but no proof. No proof. How about the director? Now you have David Strahan that popped in, and we all thought, well, once again, we've got a great actor. This is going to amount to something fabulous, and we got about 2 episodes.
Yeah, he had
quality stuff.
One episode, I think he showed a lot of what the director's power and capability is, but it wasn't enough to make you go, I'm scared of this guy, like you're scared of Arvin Sloane and Alias right off the get-go.
Yeah.
I had to get one in
really?
there.
Did you just say that just to say Alias, really?
Well, it's a comparison, but I had to get one in there for the feedback show.
I gotta ask, have you ever seen, outside of like Lost, Alias, Resurrection, Under the Dome, and this show, have you seen any other television shows? There are other ones out there.
They
man.
cancel everything else. The Event, Terra Nova,
Firefly,
Dollhouse, Flash Forward. I like a lot of genre television. They just cancel it before it gets good.
So you don't watch any of it? Because it feels like you only have like 8 references.
That's because it's the only shows that continued past
I see.
one season.
Interesting. Aram, outside of a couple flirty encounters with Samar, not a whole lot of development for him. He really gets underserved in this show quite a bit.
That would have been one of my negatives because they played up that whole thing about saving her and everything else, and then they're going to have this connection, and then the entire Fulcrum, Tom Connolly, none of that was there. It like completely went away.
Mm-hmm.
Like I almost wonder if stuff got aired out of order this season at some point.
What? No, they didn't pull a Firefly. I mean, it seemed pretty in order to me.
Or an Almost Human. There you go. I referenced another one.
I'm just happy you watched another show, man. They built it up in several episodes where I really thought Aram and Samar were going to go somewhere. I mean, they have a real genuine chemistry, I think. And I really love the actor's portrayal of Aram. And I think he's better than just comic relief. And I hope for season 3 they give him more to do. I mean, he's already regular, right? So just give him something to do.
Yeah, I almost liked him better in season 1 when Red would come up to him and be like, give me the number before I reassemble this weapon and shoot you in the head with it. And he's under pressure and he's all kind of nervous and squirrely. And I almost like the squirrely Aram more than the confident Aram.
He's got a good chemistry with James Spader, too. So
oh, yeah.
I would like to see more of him. Now, Dembe got more screen time, and he is officially promoted to series regular for next season. Does that make you feel more positive about how his character is going to be? Because we didn't really get a whole lot of him this year. Right? We got one storyline, really.
Well, I'm curious. Well, that was a great story, though. I mean, Mombasa Cartel, awesome. Love that we got that backstory. I hope we can do more of that with some of the characters in season 3. I thought that was a fantastic
Where
episode.
Red just does a story time and explains his entire backstory in a paragraph.
Exactly. Which I kind of thought he was going to do with the news reporters. Like, I'm Reddington. This is how it all went down.
20 years ago. But
yeah, no, Dembe is such a cool character, and I really like this fact that we have Reddington and Dembe kissing goodbye as they leave. So the question becomes, is Liz going to be with Red? Is Liz going to be with Dembe? Is Dembe going to be with Tom/Jacob? So who's going to be partnered up with who when the season kicks off, and what are their missions and objectives going to be?
I don't have that question at all. They're all in the same car.
No, Dembe left.
Oh, well, they're going to end up in the same car. Dembe always ends up back with Red. He's Red's partner.
So why did he kiss him goodbye and set him on a separate errand here? Always together. Always together.
Because he had something to do, just like he planted that bomb on that boat. He's got stuff to do. He gets a day off, gets a weekend off, something.
Never.
Go take a vacation. He's going on the run with Liz right now.
Okay.
I have no doubt that they're going to be paired up. They're still going to be together. In fact, I think it's going to be like the Three Amigos. It's going to be Liz and Red and Dembe, and they're going to be on wacky adventures for season 3. At least the first 8 episodes. That's what I think. Which, by the way, do we know if it's not going to do that Monday, Thursday thing again, right?
No,
it's just going to be
officially Thursday night, same time, same bet channel.
Okay. They're not going to play that game again?
They're not going to
shell game?
Well, never say never, but at this point, no. It is Thursday night, locked and loaded.
Good to know. Okay, let's move on to Samar. She actually for my opinion, had more screen time than Ressler the second half of the season, it felt like.
I think
it almost
you're just saying that because you're a fanboy.
No, I am a huge fan of hers, but it felt to me like Ressler's storyline got swept under the rug almost, and Samar's got a little bit more beefed up. It felt like, we'll talk about Ressler, but it felt like Samar was getting more screen time near the end of the season.
I would agree with the end of the season comment. I felt Ressler and Samar was like watching a ping pong match. Like some weeks, hey, it's Ressler's turn. No, it's Samar's turn. And
I agree with that.
And because there was that time period where it was like, why is she still on the show? Because her story was wrapped up when she got to her brother's killer, and they took care of him. And I was like, okay, well, what's she going to do now? And then it went back to Ressler, then it went back to her, and it went back to Ressler, and went back to her. And I was like, man, Forrest Gump can even straight this out. So I was like,
oh, you make my head hurt because now I'm just like, bing, 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 bing. Ugh.
They need to crystallize teammates, I think, in season 3. If it's going to be Red and Liz, if it's going to be Dembe and Kaplan, if it's going to be Dembe and Tom, Ressler and Samar.
Why do they have to solidify that?
Because it just works better when you have these are the partners. We're the partners going out. So you're an X-Files guy. You're saying
I'm an X-Files guy. This isn't an X-Files show. Liz is a lone gunman. There you go. She is somebody that is on her own. And the only person that she needs to rely on, the only true partnership for me is her and Red.
Okay.
So I don't need her affiliated. I don't need her to have an established partner. She knows she can count on them. They back her up. That's great. But for me, it's always been Liz Red.
But everybody else needs to have that partnership just for the storytelling and okay, you go left and I'll go right, and we'll sneak through the thing, and then we'll point the guns at each other, and, oh, you scared me.
Well, I mean, now that she's out of it, now that Liz is out of it, because, she's a wanted fugitive, then maybe Samar and Ressler can team up.
Yeah, I think that's my point, is that you're not going to send Ressler out in the field with some schmuck that's not actually part of the task force, because then you're introducing another character to take away screen time from Samar.
Yeah, we don't need that. We don't need that. More low-cut shirts in the field. That's all I'm asking for. What about Connolly? Now,
he died too soon.
Hang on. He was introduced into the show in the second half of the season, back half of the season. He died too soon. We agree on that. Do you think that is there a chance that he's alive? It looked very much like he was dead in the show. But do you think because fan reaction to a villain's death was largely boo, we liked him, don't kill him, that maybe there's a chance in TV world he'll survive? Probably not.
There were way too many people at the scene. They rolled him out in the body bag on the stretcher. I didn't see a respirator or a shock cart or anything. Some intern straddling him, pumping his chest, trying to keep him CPR going or something. So I'm going to say he's dead.
Okay.
Otherwise, you blow up the whole concept of Liz being on the run for the murder of the AG.
Well, definitely treat the director like you treated Connolly, because his role, that actor really played it up. Strahan's got the chops, so give him more to do so we have another villain that we can get behind. Because I think after Berlin departed, the director was supposed to fill those shoes, and it just didn't happen for me, man.
Nope.
And that's a writing thing, because it's not the actor. He's a great actor. There just wasn't enough compelling material for me to go, man, that's a bad guy I can get behind. Connolly, I wanted to punch him in the face, and then I wanted to hug him in the same episode. So that's a villain I can love.
Best ships are friendships.
Yep. Now what about Cooper? Guy started off getting over a limp. Then he was led to believe he had cancer, only to realize he was duped and is kind of a dum-dum.
Just tell me what happened in Kuwait. That's all I want to know.
Well, you're not going to hear about that.
What happened in Kuwait?
You're not going to hear.
And what is Red going to do with the information he got from Cooper in that first episode, now that he has that about Kuwait, and that Cooper has a copy of it now? I just, what happened? What's the point, and how does it roll into the cabal? That's what I want to know.
What did you think about his storyline, though?
I think it was great, because I think at the end of season 1, we were all saying, man, he's kind of wimpy for being the head of this place, and then to have him go toe-to-toe and come up to that doctor and basically crush his neck, and he could have just killed him right there with his pinky and his thumb. I thought that was really great to see him really come forward and be kind of more of this, you hate to say criminal, but someone that's a little more forceful and taking an active role in what he's doing. And now the question is whose side does he play now that he's got no team? going into season 3.
I like that they have, because he's really the only character that I consider a good guy. Everybody else has negative attributes, I suppose. And he was really forced into the negativity for a good reason. And I don't know still how I feel about him compromising his morals just to survive, because it really felt like he wasn't the kind of guy to do that. But, when push comes to shove and you realize your life is on the line, a lot of people make some bad calls.
And I think that was something we were supposed to learn from his character. It was I'll do anything for family. Like, I'll do anything for Liz. I'll do anything for Charlene. So is that something that we're supposed to pick up on again, as the family concept? And
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The one thing I did wonder is, like, man, can you get a second opinion? I mean, there's got to be another doctor you can, you know what? I'm not sure I got cancer. Maybe I'm going to go double check that.
Classified, man. You can only go to the one hospital that's run by the Bureau.
Really? That's how they do it now, huh?
I'm sure it is. How it is in CIA.
It's part of Obamacare. You get one option. That's great. That's great. Well, I like I didn't like where his character was going the first half. The back half, I really liked what they did with his character. It really felt like they stretched him out and made him much more compelling. Instead of just a goody two shoes, they added some depth. They introduced what he would do for his family, including Liz. I think he considers Liz part of his family. And he compromises morals quite a bit. I don't know if he can come back from that. Maybe that takes him down a path. That would be interesting. Kind of the path that we thought Ressler was going to take, and it just never happened.
Yeah, does he consider himself a failure now because he's out of a job and because Liz went to the place he didn't want her to go?
Mm-hmm. And speaking of Ressler, pill addiction was finally ditched. We talked about that because that was a plot line that just didn't work. Do you agree? It just didn't work.
You're saying it didn't work. I still look at it and go, was it because people were like, I don't like this? Or was it because it just never got enough legs to do anything with it? It seemed to me like it just disappeared. I don't know if it wasn't that it didn't work. I think it just didn't do anything with it, period.
I think it disappeared like episode, 6, 7, something like that?
No, episode 2 or 3.
No, it lasted longer than that. Go back and look. It lasted longer than that. And I think that's how long it takes before they start seeing reaction, because they start filming, many, many weeks before the season starts. So there are several episodes in the can. I think it was audience feedback. I didn't hear any. I'm not saying some people didn't relate to the storyline or didn't find it somewhat engaging, but it just seemed like an episode killer. Now, either they reacted or they realized it on their own just from watching the episodes, because, they're viewers too. Just because, they don't always make the changes we want them to make, they still watch the same show we watch,
So based on that theory, then, you're saying that it was the same thing with Samar and Aram? Like, they were like, oh, this is a show killer, so we're just going to kind of not write to it anymore. And
No, I think they just had too much other stuff going on there.
Okay.
That was different. I think Wrestlers was really just, this isn't working. We wanted it to go somewhere else. It just didn't end up going there. And so we're just going to drop it.
Yeah, I think we agree to disagree on that one. I think there's enough evidence all season long of things that they introduced that they just didn't continue with. And I don't know why, but there's more than one instance of that, and I call that a pattern.
So you're saying that the writers often throw spitballs, basically, and just see what sticks?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a possibility.
I mean,
that's not good writing, though. If that's the case, it's not very good.
I mean, coming out of the Deer Hunter into the whole courtroom harbor master thing, it just kind of felt like okay, we're kind of testing this out to see if people are liking where this is going, and then it finally started to go full steam again.
I hope that's not the case. That's not how I would want a really richly detailed story to unfold, is by hey, let's see where this goes. Look at that. He's a crackhead.
Now, granted,
not anymore.
We felt that way kind of in the first half of season 3 of Lost, too, so maybe it's just, timing, fatigue, stretched out, and
maybe
you're just crafting because you've got to make sure that you got a setup for season 3 that works. And
yep.
So I'm not panning it or anything. I'm just saying there were definitely some ocean waves where you're like, man, I'm kind of sinking here.
Well, up until the last episode, I don't think his character did anything else. Honestly, that's my personal opinion. I am a fan of Diego. I am not a fan of how they handle it. As much as we love the show, I definitely don't want to seem like I'm poo-pooing anything, but Ressler's a character I really think was underdeveloped this year.
Yep.
And for my money, this is me as a viewer and someone that is actively engaged in the show, I would much rather spend time with Ressler's character than more Tom Keen stuff. But I realize I'm not exactly in the majority because Ryan's got fantastic abs.
And the reason why I think we feel that way is because there was so much set up at the end of season 1 with how Ressler
very much so,
and
yes.
Liz were starting to become like the true partners, the true Mulder and Scully, if you will. And because of that, I think it was a letdown when it didn't keep going. It was kind of like, wait, we set this up. Why are you going away from it? Don't get it.
And that his character's arc is what concerns me about Cooper's character's arc. Because the end of season 1, it was very similar. Ressler was set up as a man who finally compromised his morals, ceased being a Boy Scout, right? And that going into season 2, we thought we're going to get a little bit more of that. There's going to be some storylines, and instead they went with the addiction thing. And for whatever reason, they stopped doing it. I'm glad they stopped doing it, but it seems like they didn't know what to do with that character after that until the very end, where they set it up so that he's now in charge of the unit.
Right.
Now Cooper's in the same boat at this point. He's a goody two-shoes Boy Scout who has now compromised his morals. I just hope this time they kind of know where to go with him.
All right.
What about Tom Keen, Jacob Phelps?
Moving on.
I'll let you talk about him because we have to talk about him. We can't not talk about him.
Okay, he was tied up in a boat, and then he floated off in a boat. The end.
Okay.
I still want to know at the end of the day, and we have to assume based on the lovemaking scene, but again, it could just be playing each other or whatever. Did he really come back to the courtroom because he had feelings for Liz or because he was told to? That's the one question.
The way that they orchestrated it, it seemed like he came back on his own, but they really never explained it. You're right. I don't think they will. His whole storyline, he killed the harbor master, got Liz implicated, came back, saved her, then he went on the lam, then he came back and saved her again, then he made sweet love to her, now he's cruising the seas, Sonny Crockett style. I've said this before, and I don't want to pummel our listeners. I think the character's run its course. Do you see anywhere else for him to go in season 3?
Other than just him helping Liz out, because if he does truly have feelings for Liz, now he's going to be like, on the team. The new team. Mm-hmm. It's the Red, Dembe, Liz, Tom team.
Which that could be interesting if they made it play, because Red and Tom have a natural abrasive relationship. I mean, that really could work.
Yeah, you could have a whole season of Red says, let's go this way, and Tom's like, no, let's go this way. And then you're like, shut up, you traitor. Why did you love her? And da-da-da-da.
Oh, and now I want to punch you in the face. Because I don't want that whatsoever. Okay. Well, we've talked about Tom Keen so much in previous episodes. I don't know what else there is to say. How about the final 2 main priorities of the show? Okay. Liz and Red Reddington. Now, Liz started the season off strong. She slipped a little bit after the Harbor Master incident. A lot of our listeners and a lot of the viewers felt that her character went a little too weak during this small portion. But then they pulled back the final half of the season, or the final third of the season, I guess, and we got the Liz we always wanted, I guess, to a certain degree. And we also got a lot of information about Masha Rostova, who is her true identity. What do you think about her arc throughout the year?
And you go back to this piece where she was kind of not liked, I guess, in the middle of the season. I wonder if that had to do with she was so strong and so tough, and she let the Harbor Master thing get out of control because Tom was able to kill him. And I wonder if that affected her in some way, like, holy crap, I can't do this on my own. I need somebody. I need a support system. I need Red. And that's why I think she started doing more of the, oh, Red, help me, do this, in the middle of the season. And then she became, hey, no, I went toe-to-toe with this judge, jerk. I could do anything I want. And then that's when I think she picked up again. So I wonder if that was intentional, even though it was frustrating for some of the viewers. But I just wonder if something happened, like she cracked after Tom killed the Harbor Master.
That would make sense. That actually plays into the arc. I really think it works as a whole. If you look at the whole season, it works. Her character worked. And I really liked, she started the season strong. the Harbor Master incident happened, and that's after that. That's where everybody said that she was written too weak. But she also, that was the first time that an innocent person died because of her stupidity, basically.
Right.
And I think that definitely affected her character, where her character went. And then, once she got clear of it, that's when you saw the stronger aspects of her character come back into focus, and the series finished off strong.
Her.
Red Reddington met his ex-wife, learned a lot about Liz's backstory through him. Do you think that's true?
We met an ex-wife. Nothing to say that he didn't have more than one.
Okay. That's a random thought. Yes, one of his many, many ex-wives, one of his harem. Sure. Do you think his backstory on Liz is true?
I have no idea.
That's your theory?
I mean, I think that if we go by the he doesn't lie, I think with the finale, he's confirmed a bunch of stuff. So I think what we saw him confirm, yes, you shot your dad. Yes, I was there. I think with that information, we know enough now of what was fake memories and what was real memories from Liz through Red.
Okay. All right, I guess. I don't know how much I believe the guy. Everybody's putting all his faith in everything he says is true when he's talking to Liz, blah, blah, blah. But
and I got to go back because I've seen this in numerous places now where people are like, in the pilot in season 1, she said that the fire happened when she was 14, and yet after that it's always 4 years old. So I got to go back and watch the pilot again because I don't remember 14. I don't remember 4 either. So I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just saying I'm gonna have to go back and watch it because it's like saw it so many times now. It's like eating away at me that I have to put my life on hold and go watch that one scene.
Well, he took out Berlin, survived the director, saved Liz repeatedly. You've always been the one that said, I don't think ultimately he's a good guy. At this point, do you think Red Reddington is a good guy, at least in respect to Liz?
In respect to Liz, yes. In general,
you're finally on that boat. You're committed on that boat because you weren't on that boat the first half of the season.
I'm still not saying that he isn't still using her for manipulation for something else. He's going to do whatever he has to still protect her and make sure she is safe. Why is still the open question. That's a mythology question. But
why do you think?
Honestly, I still think it's because there's information that she can provide, and that next piece of information is how do we find Katerina Rostova?
I was thinking about this. What if he wants to get to her mom, and that's the only way he can do it?
Right.
Is through her. Like, that's an ultimate goal, is to get to Katerina Rostova. What do you think about that?
That's exactly what I think it is. They wouldn't have introduced her by name, said that Red knew her by name, or at least one of those names, if it wasn't part of the longer-term plan.
Okay. Just curious if you agree with that or not. So that's very interesting. Now, I think, because if you listen to the last episode, we really have broken down the show a lot, and we've broken down the characters quite a bit. And a lot of what you guys want to know about is, what about the crazy theories? What about the theories on where the show's going, what the show has done, etc.? That's what we're going to do now. We've done our season recap. The show's going to be long. Suck it up, Troy. You're just going to have to live with yourself. I know it drives you insane to be longer than like whatever your time frame is. But now we're going to talk about what you guys thought about some crazy theories that the season left you thinking. Okay? But before we do that, we will be back midsummer with news about the comic book and what went down at Comic-Con. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to subscribe. If you are on iOS, if you're on an iOS device, go to goldenspiralmedia.com/iTunes or search for the Blacklist Exposed in your podcast apps. If you're on Android, you can search for the Blacklist Exposed in the Google Play Store now. They've actually got an app. You can install the app and you can listen to that. I just tried that. It's very cool. And when a new episode comes out, you will get the latest episode right away.
Yeah, we're also working on a way you can help contribute to the show through Patreon. That is Patreon. When it's actually ready, it'll be patreon.com/theblacklistgsm. In a nutshell, you basically give us like $1 a month. I mean, really, it's $1. It's like less than a nickel a day. And we always know about nickel tours, right?
Dun-dun-dun.
But yeah, like $1 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever you want to give to the show. And I know there's thousands of you out there. So if we can get $1 a month from, say, 1,000 of you, we're going to do some really cool stuff for season 3, like, say, have live shows for every episode. We can do that. We could fly to a location that you guys vote on and do a series finale or season finale party wherever you guys decide to go. And, of course, we'll have some special rewards like swag for T-shirts, fedoras, coffee mugs, all that good jazz. So the patreon.com, Patreon, patreon.com/the Blacklist GSM. It should be up in a couple weeks, and we'll let you know more about that on the Facebook group and Twitter as it comes along.
And, of course, Troy hasn't really talked to me about much of this, so he's just telling me what I'm going to do. You son of a...
Always. If I ask him, then nothing fun would ever happen.
This is true. This is probably true. Yeah. Okay, you ready to go with Special Agent Intel?
You know it.
We asked you, what is the craziest theory you heard about how Red and Liz are connected, besides Troy's weird fascination, which many think you're just completely ignoring the show to arrive at that dumb theory, by the way. Oh, the hate mail he hath received.
You heard it in the tribute.
It's so good.
Apparently I'm an Oompa Loompa or something.
I love when you get angry mail. So let's go over what these theories are. This is our fan fiesta, our fantastico, fan wrap-up, whatever you want to call it.
Just get on with it.
Judy said, why am I affecting your time, Troy? If I talk slow, is that going to bother you? Because I can do it.
Like Shatner told us.
Judy said, I don't think they are at all related. I think somehow Lizzie saved Red's life the night of the fire, maybe. Not on purpose, of course, but she did, perhaps, in some way. And he feels terrible guilt about things that happened the night of the fire, the things he took away from her that can never be replaced. Innocence, mom, dad, etc. Including her killing her dad. I think more will be revealed about the connection in season 3. What do you think?
Why would he feel guilty, though? And that's the one thing I keep wrapping my head around.
You don't think Red can feel guilt?
Well, the only thing that makes sense is that he's feeling guilty because of the family he lost, and now here's this little girl who's also lost her family, and because of that he feels like some sort of connection to her, and like, oh, I can redeem myself by helping out this other family. That's the only thing I can think of why he would feel guilty. And that ties into Naomi and Jennifer. He felt guilty that they had to go to witness protection and whatever, and why won't you let me see her? And it sounds like a argument that maybe Liz's dad and mom had a conversation of, why won't you let me see her?
What about he was the one having an affair with, this is speculation, having an affair with Katerina, and dad found out, yelled at mom, they got into a fight. Maybe it's not just spy stuff. Maybe it's really something simple like that. And she shot dad because he was hurting mom, and he feels horrible because he's the reason all that happened.
Why don't you just read Margaret's theory then? Because I think she agrees with you.
Well, we'll get to Margaret's theory, but I'm asking you that right off the top of the bat. What do you think?
Possible.
Okay. I like Judy's theory. That's a good one. That's completely possible.
Well, Sophie actually agreed with Judy.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said, funny how people can't comprehend that they aren't related. I'm just waiting till they confirm he isn't her uncle, mother, stepbrother, or cousin twice removed. I'll be sitting back with the popcorn while they try to figure out how Lizzie looks so young, because the only viable option left is that she must be Red's mom.
What?
I love it. She's being sarcastic.
Stop it. Don't feed the monkeys. Don't feed the animals, etc., etc.
Red's not Liz's mom. Liz is Red's mom. I love it. That's great.
Margaret, a possible theory. This one's actually possible. Red was having an affair with Liz's mom and loved her very much. I should probably read these before so it doesn't feel like I'm ripping them off. I honestly have not read any of these because I wanted to be surprised when we got to them. Red was having an affair with Liz's mom and loved her very much. Liz's dad found out that, and that was the reason for the violence against the mom. Liz shot dad, but he didn't die, and he leads Liz out of the fire. Red arrives and sees that Liz's mom was beaten. Red kills Liz's dad. Red feels guilty that Liz is without a father, so he feels compelled to watch over Liz. Additionally, he loves the mom and watching out for the daughter is something he can do for the mom. I like that because it's similar to what I thought.
Or because you ripped it off. No.
Possibly. Yeah, possibly.
I could see how this would play out. It's a dynamic of, I love you, I'll take care of you, and the way I can get into your pants is by taking care of your daughter. So, sure. Absolutely.
Way to break it down to the lowest common denominator, man. Really good.
That's what an affair is, right?
The one thing I like about this theory is I like the idea that all of this connection between these two, between Red and Liz, isn't ultimately a bunch of spy, complicated hokey pokey. That it comes down to just basic guilt. I like that. I love that, actually. And because I think everybody expects the most insane possibility and the most insane conclusion and storyline to how this happened. I would love for it to actually just be something crazy.
So if it ends...
And simple. Crazy because it's so simple.
So if it ends and it's simple, do fans riot? Do fans want the crazy, or do fans want the simple?
I won't riot. I'll do that because I think that's bold because everybody expects insanity, and I think it would be more crazy to stay simple.
I actually kind of agree with you.
Well, write that down. Somebody make a clamor about that. Brenda, I really don't believe the affair theory. Thanks, Brenda.
Ooh, shot down just like that.
Brenda, why do you hate me? I think Mom's alive, but as a KGB agent, possibly sold secrets, and that's the reason for the fire, and had to flee or imprisoned, and Red fears for Liz's safety and doesn't want Liz to live in shame for her mother's sins or to feel her mom's job was more important to her than her child. And he may be staying close to Liz to eventually locate her mom.
Okay, so that plays into our original thoughts for what season 3
That plays
might
into
be.
Alias. That's like Alias's plotline.
It totally is.
Mm-hmm.
Like most of the show.
Kinda, yeah.
I still have to believe that there was some kind of chemistry. I don't know if it was an affair. There was definitely some chemistry between Liz's mom and Red at some point.
Yeah, there's got to be something. There's a connection to some sort. Maybe just an uncle. Maybe, something like that. But I think there's definitely has to be a connection. My opinion. There has to be a connection.
Has to be.
But I really like the affair theory. That's the one I'm hoping for. I don't think that they go for it. It just simple never works on television, it feels like, even though I think it's a better answer.
Well, Christine wants to know, is Liz a KGB mole? Was her memory truly erased so she could be believable to the FBI?
Like Total Recall.
Totally. Get that? Totally.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Also, I feel like everyone really worries about
trying to get past it, Troy. Trying to get past it.
Get your ass to Mars. I also feel like everyone really worries about Liz's upcoming murder charges when Red and Tom murder people all the time and are not in jail. At least in this show, we seem to crave a truly good person to be the hero, but maybe not so much for this series. Interesting thought.
It's true. Sexist sons of bitches. Why has a girl got to go to jail? You son. And get saved by the guy. Bokenkamp. Come on.
She ain't going to jail. She's going to take everybody out.
That's
commando style.
I mean, Red is the master criminal, so he's not going to be up for murder charges because he'll just have everybody killed. Tom Keene, probably, if he ever got apprehended, probably would be facing murder charges, right? I mean, he's wanted.
Yep.
So he just hasn't been caught because he's too smooth with his tattoos and whatnot.
I wonder...
He blends in.
It's a really great theory, though, because we're talking about how the writing style of this show seems a little bit outside the norm with the whole white hat, black hat kind of concept. And what if there are only black hats at the end of the day? Which would make sense because it's going head-to-head against Scandal, where they're spending so much time trying to be white hats all day.
I don't watch Scandal, so I have no idea what you're talking about. I have no idea. I watched the first season, and then I was like, yeah, no.
First season was so good.
This is too Shonda Rhimes for me. Suzanne says, I've been doing some research on the mystery involving Red and the Night of the Fire. The following line of dialogue is from Season 1, Berlin Conclusion. Liz says to Red, the only memory I have of my real father is from the Night of the Fire. I remember him pulling me out of the flames, saving me. If Liz shot her father, How was he able to pull her out of the flames and save her?
I don't know, Reggie.
Confused I am. That's an interesting question. But her memory was screwed with a lot.
Yeah.
So just going to do Yoda voices and Scooby-Doo and whatever else we can come up with. I can do Stallone if you want to do it. Hey, I don't know what to think there, Suzanne. I got no idea. I don't know what to think of that.
I have no clue. It's a good point. But again, was that her memory that was implanted? Or was that
possibly
her memory that she remembered?
Possibly. You got to think they have like a whiteboard in the writer's room where they write all this stuff down. So
God,
I'm sure
hope
they
so.
were yeah, they have to. And I'm sure they're aware of that. So I got a feeling it will be explained, but that's a good point. If she shot him dead, how would he have saved her? Unless he was shot, pulled her out of the flames, then died.
Like the previous theory said.
Yeah, I guess that would be a possibility. It's a very good point, though. Very good catch. Sonia, I'm interested to hear theories about the conversation Red has with Nico in the season 1 episode, The Kingmaker.
Me too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nico is swimming and they discuss his recent weight loss. Red tells the story of being a lifeguard his junior year in high school. He says he gave mouth-to-mouth to Mrs. Bierman and she belched up a lung full of corned beef and chlorine. He then says, I haven't been in a pool since. Nico then says, I'm sorry, weren't you in the Navy? Red blows it off and changes the subject without answering. I'm curious to everyone's opinion on this conversation because I have wondered if Raymond Reddington is the real Raymond Reddington.
Agree.
Or hang on, God, let me finish her thought. Or did he use the alchemist to become someone else? If you remember, the alchemist could change someone's DNA and dental records to make them appear as another person, which this is going to your Katerina Rostova BS, I'm sure.
Yes.
Then throw in his conversation with the plastic surgeon about wanting to know if he had told anyone about the work he had done, Red had done.
My point exactly.
This is what brings you to your
proof from the show
theory.
that my theory is possible. Because
so really, you just included this because you just wanted to say, see, Red can be her mom legitimately.
No, because this was actually one of the original theories from season 1 back on TV Talk was that because we had the whole Lord Baltimore situation where you had the two sisters, it is possible that there was one Raymond Red Reddington, Navy officer, 24, 26, whatever he was, goes into the Navy, and you have another one that's a twin brother or close to a twin brother, maybe a year older, maybe a year younger, that is the master criminal. And something happens that one dies and the other one takes their place in order to do something or whatever. That was the original theory, but who's to say that it wasn't brother and brother? Maybe it was brother and sister, and the sister was Katerina Rostova.
Interesting. Okay. There is some validity to his stupid theory. I still call it stupid, but there's some validity to it. And he would be accurate that I am not your father. Although, man, if that ever happened at the end, I prefer my simple ending than to have to figure out the mechanizations and the chemistry and the biology and all that other thing. Yeah, I don't want to have to think about that. Just make it an affair. Make it simple. I don't want my head to hurt any more than it already does.
And I think where this actually comes into play on why it could be a woman versus a brother-brother switch is based on Rory's theory, where Rory said, don't know what happened to my post from yesterday, but I'll repost it. What if Red and Lizzie's mom were brother and sister, making him her uncle on her mother's side? It's kind of like the movie No Way Out with Kevin Costner. Red was placed as a sleeper agent in the Navy, and Katerina was the KGB agent in that scenario. Just some speculation.
I buy that theory.
I totally like that theory.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's saying that it's more of the Red's the brother and Katerina's the sister. But again, what if they were to switch places because one of them died, based on the previous theory?
Can I point out that you're always rushing me on time? Troy is like a time Nazi. Okay, he's like, we got to be on a certain amount, here. You sound like Stallone too when you don't sound like Scooby Doo, and except when he wants to talk about his stupid Liz's mom, Red is Liz's mom theory. Then he can ramble his ass off for hours, and it's perfectly okay. Just want to make that comment. I like his theory that Red is just her uncle. That's where it can stop.
I love the.
We don't need any more.
Well, I love the tie to No Way Out. I think that's a movie that everybody should have on their viewing list for the summer, and see if we could pick up anything from that movie for season 3.
I liked it. No Way Out is a great movie. Gene Hackman is great in that movie too. Tanya believes that the man Masha shot looked a lot like Ressler. She said, "I swear he looks just like Ressler." LOL. I am going to try to print up a screenshot tonight. They did say we will find out a lot about Ressler next season, so maybe there is a connection. We will see, but he has the same hair color and cut as Ressler, in my opinion. What do you think?
Ressler's red son. Oh my goodness, they've been chasing each other this whole time.
That would be a great twist.
It would be a good twist.
I like that.
Because we were saying that there was that picture, right, of Liz and the kid at the picnic, and we said in that picture how it looked like Ressler a little bit. So could they be brother and sister, Ressler and Liz?
That's interesting. Half brothers and sister.
Half brother and sister, yeah.
Half brother and sister, because maybe from the affair. You never know, different moms. Morticia said, last night I had a blacklister dream. Morticia, you're probably watching the show a little too much if you're having dreams about it. First, Red and his crew had a meeting with some people. Afterwards, he decided on a long-term plan against the Cabal with basically 2 years of preparation. Then there was a time skip to 2 years later. Liz apparently learned a lot. She was a master of disguise and practically a one-woman army. The funny parts were Red working with cousins in Sweden and Germany who looked just like him, but with different hair. What a dream.
Morticia, this is awesome. Because, and I hate to say it, but this is the end of season 2. And when season 2 and season 3 happened on Alias, spoiler alert, turn it down if you don't want to know, there was a time jump between season 2 and season 3 of Alias.
Yeah. I actually think there probably will be a time jump here, too.
I think there's going to be a time jump. I think this is, you had that dream for a reason. You're channeling the Bokenkamp energy, the John Eisendrath energy. I think there's going to be a time jump. It's going to be cool.
And you have an awesome name.
And that's how you fill it in with the comic books. It's what happens between now and the time jump.
All right, Charla said, I may have picked up on a clue as to the real relationship between Naomi and Reddington. Ready?
Ready.
He tells her husband that she is more like an estranged sister to him. Oh, boy. What if she really is his sister and Jennifer is his daughter, his niece? What if his family really was killed in that house and he had it covered up by someone like Mr. Kaplan? Quote-unquote, Carla could have been in a bad spot with Jennifer's father. They made a bargain for them to play the part of Mrs. Reddington and daughter. She gets a new life and identity, and Red doesn't get framed for the massacre of his family.
I knew there was a line out there. I knew there was something that said estranged sister. Thank you so much.
That's interesting. So that's what you're going with, that they weren't really a married couple.
Exactly.
That was an arranged marriage, so to speak.
Exactly.
That's a good pickup. Now, see, the hard part about watching this show as much as we do, and we have to pay so much attention to minute details for the podcast and whatnot, is you actually end up missing little things because you're so focused on the bigger picture, I guess. And so one line of dialogue that doesn't mean anything then will mean a lot more later. And sometimes you forget about it because you're so focused on the basic mythology, I guess, is kind of how I see it. So it's always great, especially with the community we have, that you guys pick up on this stuff sometimes and be like, hey, dum-dums, check this out. Really love that. Love that. Tanya wants to know, do you guys think this season is better than the first season? That's a good question. Even though the first season was a breakout hit and was good, the writers definitely stepped up their game this season. I'm expecting season 3 to be better than 1 and 2. Troy, what say you? Season 1 or 2? Which is the winner?
Man, that's a tough call. They're different. You can't compare them. And I agree that season 3 will be the best. I think I already talked about that, how Alias season 3, Fringe season 3, Lost season 3 were the best seasons of the shows. So I agree that season 3 is going to be the better of the 3 when it's all said and done. I really like the creepiness factor of the Blacklisters in the first season. So because of that, even though we did have Giant Soapy Guy, I'm going to say season 1.
My answer is this. I think season 2 had more episodes that felt like filler that ultimately will detract from a full season watch. I think season 1 felt like a complete arc to me, even though there's a lot of procedural episodes that were, completed in that hour span. The actual storyline that went throughout the season felt like it flowed very smoothly. So for me, season 1 is probably better than season 2, just because we did have several episodes that I think viewers were correct in how the writing was going for Liz. It wasn't as compelling. I think several characters were kind of left under the table. And I definitely do think it wasn't as well orchestrated. Like Troy was talking about earlier, how some storylines it felt like they just forgot about. I felt that. Now I don't know if it's for the same reasons you felt that, but I felt that more in season 2. And as much as I love the show, I do think 1 was stronger.
Yeah, I mean
overall, as a whole season.
It was episode 3, if I remember correctly, was Wu Jing, and we got the 042983, which is Megan Boone's birthday, by the way, in case you didn't know. But we got that code, and that code ends up being the VICAP access code to get to Jolene Parker. And then you have the whole guy that could change the DNA, the alchemist, change the DNA because he changed Lucy Brooks, made Lucy Brooks look dead to become Jolene Parker. So I because of that, we had that set up so early. That's why I think season 1 was better. It just flowed the whole way.
I appreciate you asking that. That's a great question. That's sincerely a great question. We've only got 2 more, and then we wrap up the season. You ready?
Ready.
2 more. Susan Lay said, what if Raymond Reddington was in fact Lizzie's father, but was originally the man Lizzie shot? Oh. Perhaps Red was there the night of the fire, uncle, fellow KGB agent, etc. Perhaps quote-unquote Red was there the night of the fire, saw an opportunity to assume the identity and went with it. It could explain why people knew him as a younger man with a family, isn't his daughter a bit younger than Liz, and why he would feel a responsibility to Lizzie. And it would be honest to say that he's not Lizzie's father, because technically he wouldn't be. He just assumed the identity of Lizzie's father. It would also explain why he was so adamant about keeping Liz away from discovering her mother's identity.
This is still on the lines of Reddington is not Reddington. Reddington switched with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. You like this theory?
We kind of talked about that back in season 1. So, yeah, absolutely. I love it.
Okay.
It still supports my theory.
We got it. We got it, Chief. Calm down. Kate brings up a good point. So Tom's leaving on the boat. The computer with the flash drive, with all the info on it about Cooper's doctor and the virus that killed the senator, is still on his boat. I don't think he's, quote-unquote, leaving.
He's not leaving on a jet plane, that's for sure.
If anybody thinks he's leaving the show, I would probably say no, he's not.
Well, he did do a movie or something. Megan tweeted out a picture of a movie it was in.
Yeah, they all do movies in between seasons. It's not that hard to do. Many, many TV actors do. I don't think he's leaving the show.
That's a good point. I'm trying to remember if she took the flash drive out of the computer when she went to go call Cooper.
I honestly don't recall. I went back and rewatched the episode before the show, but that's not something, and maybe I should have read these beforehand, but I really like to discover them as we read them, I guess. So I did not pay attention, I guess, to that.
We'll find out.
We'll find out before next year.
Yeah,
sure.
We'll find out, and we'll just put it on the Facebook group or Twitter and say, hey, flash drive was taken. Or, hey, flash was still on there, and the boat sank.
There you go. Now, before we close it out, because we're officially done. I know it's a little longer than a normal episode. I'm sure what's your name? Troy. I'm sure Troy is really ticked off, but I don't care. I just don't care. In fact, I could probably ramble for another 20 minutes, and I really still wouldn't care. But I do want to say we've had a great time this year, you and I. We've done a lot of fun stuff. We've gone to the New Media Expo, and we did a live show. Even though it was for the Hollywood Outsider, it was still you and I doing it, and that was a lot of fun. We did a live show recently if you didn't hear our finale episode, that was a live show, and that was, once again, great time. We're going to probably do another live show this summer, I think, at Blue Box Cafe.
Yes,
right?
Yep. We'll do that for a charity event, actually, where we talk about the comic book and Comic-Con. So
that'll be live, and definitely we'll share that with you guys. And I just want to say I've had such great reactions from so many of our listeners. And I really, honestly, when Troy asked me to do this last year, I was hesitant because it is a huge commitment. I know what the TV series podcast can be, just from doing it on TV Talk, it's a huge commitment. And that was only 20 minutes. And now that we've wrapped this up, I just want to take a minute to thank every single one of you that have listened. The fact that there are literally thousands of you that listen to the show blows my mind. Not that there are that many fans, because it's a great show. Just that somebody would want to listen to us talk about it. Listen to Troy. I understand why you want to listen to me, but I mean, Troy, his theories are crazy. But I appreciate, and that's false modesty. I'm legitimately not that cocky. That's just a joke. I really love the community that has come to this show, to this podcast. I really respect and appreciate every one of you. There's some super dedicated listeners out there that have just done wonders for us personally, professionally, however you want to look at it. And especially, I do want to say a genuine thank you to Troy, so everybody here can hear it, and he hasn't scripted it. And, for all the success we've had with the show, Troy does about 80% of the work. And when it comes to the work behind the scenes, I know because I've run my own podcast for 5 years now, whatever the number is. And I know how much work goes into that. And if I'm rambling, I don't really care, Troy. You just have to, you can edit the nice things I'm saying about you if you want. But he puts so much work into this show. Drives me nuts sometimes, absolutely, because he's super anal. And sometimes he's more anal than he needs to be. But he loves the show and he loves this podcast, and he wants every aspect of it to be great for you guys. And I think everybody listening, because you're so devoted, you should know how much work and heart he puts into this show. And I genuinely appreciate and thank everything you do for it. I wish I had more time to help you with some of the harder stuff. I hope you understand why I don't have as much as I would like to. But I do want you to know how much I appreciate everything you do for the show.
And because it's this show, I don't know if he's telling me the truth or not. No,
I give one freaking compliment.
No, I appreciate it. And, I loved it doing for TV Talk last year. Dave Drera was awesome. The 20-minute episodes I just felt were too short for this show. So I'm really glad we had the opportunity to come over here to Golden Spiral Media, and Daryl said, yeah, absolutely, let's do the Blacklist. And the first person I thought of was Aaron, because 24 was such an awesome 24 Live Another Day. If you didn't get to see it, listen to Aaron over there. You'll hear me pop in every now and then. That's kind of how we connected. And just it's a good chemistry, and I think we have fun. I know you guys think we have fun. You tell us we're funny on video, so that's why we want to do some more video for you next year. And it's been a ride. I put in the labor of love I do, not because I want to make Aaron look good, because obviously he does that on his own. But really, it's for all of you guys, and I'm really looking forward to. I know a couple people like Bill, who did the opening today, lives just north of me, so we're gonna have lunch. I know there's a couple people up in Green Bay when I go up for the Green Bay games. We're going to get some lunch up there. So I'm going to try to meet as many of you as I can as I travel around the country. And hopefully we can get 1,000 people to give $1 each. Because if that happens, we're flying to you. Just because that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, as long as somebody else is paying for it, I can probably do it.
We can't pay for it, but if you help us pay for it, we will definitely come there. Absolutely.
We will work that out. And that's... the one thing about the Patreon thing that Troy's talking about, we're not doing it. Some podcasts do that, and they're doing it to get paid. That's not why we're doing it. We're doing it so we can do more cool things with the podcasts. Nobody's getting rich off this show. We do it because we love it, plain and simple.
Yep, cover the costs so that we can keep the show coming to you, and then everything else goes right back into making sure it's a better experience for all of you.
Exactly. So I hope everybody understands that. It's not just a peddle for money, because I hate that personally. So it's not what it is. Anything else you want to say as we wrap up? Because we're pretty much, other than the summer episode we're going to throw out there, we're pretty much done for a couple months.
Yeah. I would just rewatch season 1, rewatch season 2, keep the Facebook group chatter going, keep the Twitter chatter going. If you find more cool clamors out there, just make sure you tag it with hashtag the Blacklist GSM SA for special agent, because all of those are getting curated into a widget that we're actually going to put on one of the Patreon sites so that you guys can hear all the cool clamors.
And we will have working on some stuff. I'm hoping Troy will join me in that endeavor here and there. So when you hear more of that, if that ever comes to fruition, we'll make sure and put that in the feed so you guys can hear it too over the summer. So you have some extra stuff. I'm sure Troy and I will do some more stuff a couple times at least over the summer. I would guess. We'll see what happens. But I think it's going to conclude this live episode. Be sure to follow us on Twitter this season at the Blacklist GSM. I don't think we'll be doing any more live tweeting because the show's kind of over.
We could fake it. It'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, but we'll still be on Twitter. There's still going to be news. There's still going to be casting bits and whatnot that'll come up. So definitely sign up or like us on follow us on Twitter and use the show's hashtag the Blacklist. We also have a Facebook group. Just search for the Blacklist Exposed and join us for the fun. There's a lot of people having a lot of fun with a lot of crazy ass theories. I think if you haven't joined yet because you're hesitant, it's a fun group. Nobody's ruining the show for anybody else, so definitely come by.
Yep, and they're having fun at my expense, which is even better.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, intel is what you have, so if you hear of any casting news, if you hear something crazy or just want to talk about whatever that comes to your mind as you do any of your rewatching this summer, be sure to let us know. You can submit the intel right into goldenspiralmedia.com/theblacklist. Feedback's there on the left-hand side of the page. Of course, Tumblr, Instagram, Clamor, Twitter, Facebook. Just find us and we'll go from there.
You can also subscribe to the podcast in iTunes and Stitcher from the website. And if you are on Android, take us on the go with the Spreaker app. That's Spreaker. We're also on TuneIn Radio, correct?
Correct, yeah. We just joined TuneIn, and don't even use the Spreaker app. Just search for the Blacklist Exposed in the Google Play Store and get our own app.
There you go. Bam! You can also find all the intel and analysis about this episode for the Season 2 recap and fan feedback episode by visiting goldenspiralmedia.com/theblacklist. Big thanks for listening. Don't forget to answer our profiling question. What stories do you want to see in the comic book series out this summer?
Can't wait. It's going to be awesome. Until next time, I am Agent Troy Heinrichs. Thanks so much for everything this season. You can find me on Twitter at Troy Heinrichs. That's Heinz Ketchup, Ritz Crackers, no Z in the middle. And next month, if you aren't tired of hearing my voice already, you can always join me trapped in Chester's Mill, Under the Dome. Find that at underthedomeradio.com.
And I'm Agent Aaron Peterson. You can hear me talking about movies and TV on the Hollywood Outsider podcast every single week. Available at thehollywoodoutsiders.com. We're on Twitter at H_outsider. Be sure to subscribe, submit your feedback. Have a fantastic summer, every single one of you. Troy and I both appreciate every one of you. We really appreciate all the feedback, the love, the respect, the downloads. But definitely, while you're out there and you're playing around this summer, keep yourself off of
the Blacklist. The Blacklist Exposed is a Golden Spiral Media production, copyright 2015. Find more of our great podcasts at goldenspiralmedia.com/podcasts.